Everybody, thanks for watching. Now, there's an argument that has been going on between, the conscious community, racist white people in general, religious people, and just people who have no clue, what's going on. A lot of people see the shootings that's been happening and, things that just have been going on for decades involving the black community and, of course, the white community and, how the media portrays the black community. So no, the argument basically is about, black women and the image that they put out, the black community and what's going on there and the state, of African American people in general. So, the problem is there's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of confusion because, some people just don't understand, what's going on. So when we look at, the problems with poverty, when we look at the racial tension, when we look at, police shootings, a lot of people want to understand why, what is the cause of all this? And a lot of people try to justify it with the state of the black community. But then you have conscious people who come and say, well, wait a minute, y'all need to take another look at this stuff. I need to step back and understand it's deeper than just black on black crime and poverty and children being born out of wedlock. It's something deeper that you need to pay attention to that you're, avoiding. And, we have, racist people say whatever they say is stupid. We don't really deal with that. But then you have people who are not necessarily racist, but who are trying to understand what they are seeing. So if we're showing everybody in the world that we are a certain type of way, but then, when somebody get killed and, we go march or, we protest certain things and make it seem like, well, wait a minute, I thought you people didn't care about each other because, you're killing each other and, you guys are not successful as everybody. And, there's a lot of issues in the black community. How come y'all not fixing it? And it's just a lot of, misconceptions and, problems with the thinking of a lot of people that is being driven by the media. And, when you step back, not only do you see this is by design, but it's starting to affect a lot of black people as well. And I can't blame black people for feeling the way they feel about their own community sometimes. You get now a lot of black people, basically taking the side of a lot of confused white folks. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that, because, we know what goes on in the hood. A lot of people look at the way black women are portraying themselves and the way African American men, we kill each other, we sell drugs and stuff like that. And they saying to themselves, man, stop bullshit. Let's stop playing. Y'all know what y'all doing is wrong. Black women know they shouldn't be shaking their ass. Guys know they shouldn't be selling drugs. It's us. We are the problem. We are our own problem. We are the problem with, black America. We are our own problem. It's not the white man. It's not the system. It's us. And then you have the conscious person say, well, wait a minute. We got to take a step back and look at this. And this is what we're going to get into in this video, because this is deep. It's a lot of stuff that, people have to realize, their ego blinds them, from a lot of stuff. The media blinds them from a lot of stuff. And I think that by the end of this video, when you look at what's actually going on, because it's really subtle, then you're going to realize what the problem really is. So what happens? What happens is when a conscious person, when a black person is trying to speak their piece and, explain what's going on and talk about what's going on, you have people step up and say, well, black on black crime. Well, black women this. And the problem we have as conscious people is we try to explain things to people who are not conscious. So we can't really expect them to understand where we're coming from. If you're going to do something like that, you have to, be mindful and be real understanding of a non-conscious person's, understanding their thinking, how they feel. They are not awake to what's really going on, and they seeing things face value. Some people actually believe what's on the news. Some people believe that stuff. Some people, they believe what they read in the newspaper. They believe what other people say. Conscious, I don't think a lot of people understand what that really means. It means you dig deeper through all the bullshit. And you can see that there's a hidden meaning behind all of the media, behind all of the rhetoric and all of the, mainstream people who step forward and speak about issues as far as religion and politics or what have you. A conscious person can see past all that and see, well, wait a minute, this is what's really going on. And we got to realize that most people are persuaded by all that bullshit. They are persuaded by the media. They are persuaded by what they see on the news, and people follow, the popular culture, and they are consumed by it. A conscious person is not. We can see past all the bullshit. Now, a lot of times, a conscious person ego gets in the way. And as I said, we got to realize that you debating with a person who is not conscious. So you can't get all, super frustrated about what they're saying because they really don't get it. And we got to understand that if you in a debate, if you speaking with a person and y'all can't agree on the facts that you present, they can't agree on the facts that you present. I'm talking about when you present facts that's plain as 1 + 1 = 2, and they still don't want to get that, then you got to walk away. You got to not deal with that person because it's not going to work. They don't want to be rational. And a lot of people they don't want to fix the problem. Some people just want to argue. Some people just want to be mad. They want to let out their frustration. As soon as you engage in a lot of these conversations, that's what they're going to do. They're going to let out their frustration for whatever, bullshit they're dealing with. And they're not going to want to be rational. And a lot of times ego get in the way when you, boom, pound somebody with facts and proof. And they don't want to accept 1 + 1 = 2. And when a person can't accept that, you walk away. You just leave it alone. You move on. And this is what we got to learn to do. And a lot of the times the debates is healthy. When people talk and we dialogue back and forth, it's healthy for other people to see that, to get both sides of the story. But, a lot of times this is done to really try to throw doubt on something that is really obviously proven, like 1 + 1 = 2. And you got to remember, you got a bunch of other people who can't accept that, who is watching as well. And they're not there to get your side of the story. They're there to feed their ego and to stroke their ego for their own belief. And a lot of people don't even watch the other side of the debate. Some people just want to watch the person that they believe in, that they follow, and listen to their information and not want to hear what you have to say because it hurts their feelings, it hurts their ego. So, these are the problems that we're facing with this whole issue involving the black community and everything that's going on. And we're going to get into these questions because we can come to an obvious conclusion. But as I said, there's some people who don't want a conclusion. Some people just want to argue. They want to be mad. They want to spread all this bullshit around just to have a platform, to talk shit. So now when we ask ourselves, why do we debate? What is the whole purpose of debating with a person? You debate with a person because you believe that you can prove that you are right, and you believe that you can prove that they are wrong. You believe you are right based on right, and people don't get that. Like, what is right? We got to understand that the definition of right and wrong is not the same with everybody. You can think something is completely right. They can think it's wrong. So that's one of the things we got to understand, that when we come to the table a lot of times to debate and to talk about topics, is already over because the person's whole mindset and thinking is already totally opposite to what you believe is right and wrong. And then, y'all gonna bump heads. And then, the point is for you to try to convince them what you're saying is right. And some people come into the table stubborn and already not willing to be budged, no matter how much sense you make. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, because a lot of people ask this question. They always send me messages saying, how do I get through to people? How do I talk to people? How do I debate and try to get my point across? Well, a lot of the times you can't. It just won't be possible because some people don't want the truth. Some people they don't want to listen. They don't want to understand what's going on. They are so consumed by what they believe, their ideologies. I mean, as I said, you can show a person that, this is a phone. Here's a phone. And they will, in front of your face, disagree that it's not a phone. When clearly common sense and majority of people will agree that it's a phone. But they don't want to do that. So we see this with religion as well. When we debate about religion, when we debate about common sense things, that a person's, rational mind is gone. And, at that moment, it's where you leave the conversation. So, this happens with the whole debate on the black community, that people don't want to look at obvious things and see that it's something more than what the media is talking about and what they, believe personally about us. So all that being said, let's get into, what people are talking about, because one, we have the racist person and we can forget about everything that they're saying because they blinded by hate. So forget about them. They stupid. And you have the white person who basically judges black people based off of what they see on television. And I'm going to tell you this. If I don't know black people, as I said before, if I didn't know a black person and I just went by what I seen on TV, I wouldn't like black people as well. But you have to have the mindset, the understanding that, we don't put stuff on TV as black people. We don't control that. And our identity, the way we look, the way we are perceived to the American people is controlled by people who are clearly racist. And that's something that a lot of white people just don't want to understand, that, we are being portrayed as thugs and, murderers and violent people, uneducated people, people who just want to be lazy and on welfare. That is the way we are being portrayed. It's not who we really are. And, it's hard to explain that to a person when we glorify the things that we glorify. And, we don't necessarily strive to, down talk the things that's obviously destroying our community. And that's, the music industry and, things like that. You have a lot of white people that believe that, we have the same opportunities as they do. We can do the same things that they do. And I think that with the recent killings and all the racial tension that was going on in 2016, I think a lot of people, and before 2016, I think a lot of people really started to understand that we don't. That there is an agenda to hold back black people. And, this is what I'm getting from a lot of the white people who I speak to about, the African American community. A lot of white people are seeing that, but wait a minute, maybe there is something wrong. It's something that, we know they should have been seeing, that we've been saying for years. But a lot of people are starting to wake up to that fact, especially when you have people like, Glenn Beck, who did the whole thing about the black founding fathers. That shocked a lot of people. That's why I talked about that. And when you just start looking at history, history more than ever over the last decade, real history has been brought out. And we have people on YouTube to thank for that. We have people who've been writing books and really trying to put the information out to thank for that. That, a lot of people starting to see the real history of African people and the fact that we are not who they say we are, and that these people control our image and they are portraying us in a negative light for many reasons. So to get back to the argument, that's one of the things that a lot of white people say. They just see us destroying ourselves. And because of the media, because, social media as well, all the stuff that we post, you have black people now, saying the same thing. You have black people now feeling like, the black woman is she's destroying herself and, it's on her. It's her fault. She's having babies. And of course, like, come on. We will all say the same thing as well. We would be like, well, ain't nobody tell you to go have all those kids, and ain't nobody tell you to do this and to do that. And we will look at things face value and say, ain't nobody make you pull that trigger. Ain't nobody tell you to have all those kids. Ain't nobody tell you to be on welfare or drop out of school and stuff like that. And this is what we are supposed to do and say. And we are not supposed to look past all that and see the real enemy. And this is what the conscious person can see. And this is what we're talking about. We are not making excuses for what people do. We are trying to explain why it happened in the first place. It's too many black folks walking around pointing the finger at each other saying that it's you. It's your fault. And to a major point, it's correct in saying that. but it's a lot more, because you have to look at the overall picture. You know, if I train a person to go kill somebody and they go, execute that plan, who is wrong? The person who trained them or the person who executed, the murder? And of course we would say, they're both wrong. But then you have to examine the person who committed the murder. I mean, does that sound correct to you? Like, if I walk up to you and say, hey, go kill that guy, you're going to say, hell no. So what was wrong with that person to make him do something like that? What was different about that person who executed this plan, who committed that murder? What was different about him that made him do it? And this is what a lot of people are not digging into. Maybe he had mental problems, or maybe he was persuaded or mind controlled in some type of way. We don't look at that. We don't fathom that. And it's clearly in front of our face what's going on and what is affecting the black community. And it is, in fact, a form of mind control, as we're going to go through and take a look at. First of all, the black community is something we was placed into a long time ago. And the problem is, when we get into stuff a long time ago, people tend to want to just brush it off because it's a long time ago. But we need to understand where things begin, how things started. And I have videos where I talk about all the stuff and, how things escalated to where it's at today. So when you look at the fact that, not only do you have all this racism, and this is why we have the white argument, because they don't want to deal with racism. Not only do we have racism that held back so many black people, we had the introduction of drugs into the black community by the CIA that is on file, proven fact. We have hip hop music. We have the most powerful weapon used against black people in all of history. And that is hip hop. That is the African American culture that we live in today, which is hip hop. And you can call me crazy and you can say what you want. As I said, I have videos on this stuff that breaks this stuff down, and they understand how music affects the brain. They understand how music bypasses your frontal lobe and gets through every single defense that your mind has. And it causes you to act out, what you're hearing, which is why you can learn a song by not writing it down and not actually trying to learn it. You can learn a whole entire song just by listening to it, on multiple occasions. They understand the power of music. The problem is we love it so much because we think it's us, that we are not seeing the effects of it and how it's destroying the black community. That is the most powerful weapon they have deployed against us. And we're not even debating it. We glorify it. So that's another thing. We don't control what goes out mainstream. And that's something we got to look at. We don't control that. So as I said before, if we have something like the FCC, who is supposed to be there to monitor this stuff and to see what is harmful to America, what we should not be seeing, then how the hell can they allow us to put out this kind of music and content that we scientifically, that we can factually prove is affecting the mindset of black people and causing us to act out what we're listening to? And this is a proven thing, because you can hear people just repeat, lingo that they hear from songs. People, turning up now. I never heard nobody say I'm about to turn up until, Lil Jon put out the song. We going to turn up now. Everybody saying I'm turned up, I'm turned down because of this song. Go back 5 years, people wasn't saying turned up. It's everything that's injected into our culture that we follow, that we are not realizing is controlling us and destroying us. So this is what the conscious person is pointing to and saying, well, wait a minute, take a look at this. They give us this music, they give us these drugs, and then at the same time, they use their money to build these private prisons to lock us up for, being affected as a result of the effect of these drugs and this music. They have these private prisons that they're putting us into. and using us, as basically slaves to work for corporations and create and, manufacture things that, they're not really getting no money off of. It's slavery. It's modern day slavery. These are the things that the conscious person points to that a lot of people don't want to look at because they don't understand, what's going on. But it's this sort of curtain that's just, it's this whole thing called I don't give a fuck that so many people is affected with. And it's just like, we look past all that. It's like when you say stuff like that, to me, that should be it. That's the end all right there. Your argument is over because I'm showing you that here's the problem. We was placed in a position of poverty, and it doesn't matter what race you are. When there is poverty, crime is inescapable. It's just that simple. Now, you have music that is proven to control the state of a person, to control their mental state, their perception. It's being used to control a whole entire community, and it's causing that community to collapse. We can prove that. That's on record. So there is no more debating that it's black people's fault. It's our fault to a certain point when we have this information brought to our attention and we choose to ignore it because we delight in, things that's destroying us. We find entertainment in things that's destroying us. And it's our fault to that point. And we got to understand that it's people who are absolutely clueless of this information, who are not on YouTube, who don't watch the videos, who don't understand what's going on, and they are being affected by this, on a large scale. The problem is people tend to not take things seriously because they don't understand it. And this is the issue that we see. People don't understand how music can be harmful to the brain when it brings them so much happiness and joy. People don't understand how this stuff affects us because they don't know the effects that it has on the brain. They just can't fathom it. It's like you can't laugh and joke over Eddie Murphy Raw with a person if they ain't see the movie. If they ain't see the movie, they don't know what you're talking about. You could be laughing and joking and talking about parts and scenes, but if they never seen it, they can't relate to what you're talking about. So you have to explain this stuff to people so they can understand, what we're talking about. And some things is just so, so far-fetched to people that they can't, calculate it. They can't understand, how something can be harmful. And, people can't understand how cheese can be harmful, how pork can be harmful, how certain foods can be harmful because, it's sold publicly. And people have a mindset of, well, why would they sell it if it's harmful? Until you start breaking it down and explaining to people that there's more to it. There's something wrong. So in music, you have the pitch, you have rhythm, you have the meter, you have the timbre or timbre. All these things are controlled by different areas of the brain that affects your mood and your emotion. So these areas are the hippocampus. You have the prefrontal cortex. You have the parietal lobe. The hippocampus is basically a structure of your limbic system that is responsible for like your spatial orientation, the way you move, the way you walk, and everything like that. Your parietal lobe as well controls these things. So when people get drunk, liquor, alcohol affects the hippocampus, the parietal lobe. This is why when people get drunk, they can't walk. That movement is altered in the brain. People pass out and stuff like that. Also when these areas are affected, it can trigger emotional responses. This is why also when people get drunk, they tend to cuss you out and start, speaking the truth. Now with the prefrontal cortex, it controls your outbursts, your emotional outbursts. Your prefrontal cortex is basically, it gives you the ability to make judgment calls on things that is considered to be, inappropriate and, appropriate. So it allows you to make that, differentiation between the two, to distinguish between either flipping out on somebody or just calming down. This is what you feel when you ready to snap on somebody and you don't. And when you hold it back, when you actually don't do it, when you know you want to punch this person in the mouth, but you don't, that emotion that you feel that's holding you back is your prefrontal cortex. And when you are high or when you are drunk, you don't have complete control of that, which is why a lot of fights break out. Music, people don't understand that music controls so much that we do. It controls your hormones. And we have basically the cuddle gene, they call it, the oxytocin. Music stimulates, it released oxytocin, which they call the cuddle hormone or the bonding hormone. This gives people an attachment to whoever's singing the song. If you look at with parents and newborns, when they sing to their children, it's a hormone that's basically being released in that child called oxytocin, that it creates a bonding experience between the mother and the child. And we already know that music releases dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter. It's your pleasure center. It releases pleasure, which your brain conceives to be pleasurable to you. This is why some people, when they listen to music by themselves, they'll rewind a verse over and over. They'll listen to a song over and over, or a certain part of the music that really stimulates them because they're getting pleasure from it. Dopamine is being kicked in, and they get pleasure from the certain way that a person said something in a song, or certain tones, and it affects the pleasure center. And you'll have a person, listen to the same song over and over again, the same verses over and over again, not understanding that it's pleasure to them. This is all, kind of distorted by your sense of what's right and what's wrong, what's acceptable, what's weird and what's not. So we're talking about a whole lot of brain activity going on with music. And understand all these things that I mentioned with the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex and the peripheral lobe. Music bypasses all these things and takes control of you. It's just that simple. So when you break it down, again, because I got into music in plenty of other videos, you already know this, but when you understand this, and when you understand that when you in that club and you have a mix of alcohol and this music, things happen. When you at a party, you have this mix of alcohol and music, things happen. People make the wrong decisions. Some people are very strong-willed and are able to control it. These people we call conscious people. You can have fun. Listen, let me tell you something. Because a lot of people think that because you're conscious, you can't go out there and have fun and party and stuff like that. Come on, people. I understand when you look at the situation, the hurdles that we face. A lot of conscious people tend to be really serious all the time. But if you don't take the time to have fun and enjoy your experience here, enjoy your life, it will begin to affect you on mental and physical levels, like being sad and being caught up in, the serious stuff that we're dealing with all the time, and letting that affect your emotions to the point where you don't want to go out and have fun and do things. Then yeah, this will affect you. It will affect you mentally and physically. And you got to enjoy life. You got to go out and do stuff. The difference is you can do things on a conscious level, understanding how to take the fun with it and not the bad shit, as where most people who are not conscious are taking, they're having fun, and they are being deceived by that fun. They are being deceived by the hidden things that these things like clubs and, shows and everything are designed to, afflict on you, the problems, the issues with going to the club and everything like that. You can avoid all this stuff when you are a conscious person, because I'm there to have a good time, to be with friends, and to enjoy myself, not to really necessarily deal with the message attached to the music, to deal with the whole stigma that goes with being at a club and being a person who's supposed to be there looking for something that is not, good. So, you have to understand what this stuff is really about. And mental manipulation, as I said, is a major key. And now that a person is conscious, a lot of people just tend to just not deal with none of this stuff. As I said before, you can go ahead and listen to hip hop music, but if you're conscious of the effect that it's supposed to have on you, then it cannot have that effect on you. If I know you're about to hit me, I'm going to move out the way because I know, what's coming. And the problem is these people who are not conscious can't move out the way, and they are being continuously hit and bombarded with so many emotions that's controlling their actions and the way they live their life and the way they do things. So again, when we get into this argument that's going on between the conscious community, people who don't understand what's going on, these racists and these white people, just paying attention to what I just said and everything I mentioned about how music affects the brain. This is what we talk about. This is what we present to these people. And after I just gave it to you simply, just like that, after I can show you on paper, after I can show you slides and medical research and everything like that on how this stuff affects the brain, if after all of that, you then say, no, it's not none of that, it's just the person, then the conversation is over. That means this person don't want to accept what's rational, logic, what's proven. And not just that, but we can see with our own two eyes. So this is where we leave the conversation alone with that person and we move on. And this is what we're seeing with the debates between us, conscious people, and everybody who is against what we're talking about. So the argument is people are going out there and destroying their own lives by engaging in this culture and, following hip hop and following these trends and acting out what they see on TV and selling drugs and shaking their ass on camera and everything like that. All the negative stuff we see in the black community. The argument from the white community is it's you. It's all your fault. When we can look at the obvious mental effects, the psychological control that the music industry, the movie industry, and everything that drives the black community is basically putting in the brains of the masses of people in the black community. That's what it all was designed for. So if you don't understand this, and you're not supposed to understand it, you looking at everything face value because you can't see what I'm talking about. So to you, when you see people acting out what these rappers is talking about and these girls shaking their ass like these girls shaking their ass in these music videos, we can't make the connection because we don't see, what's behind the scenes. And this is what we as conscious people are trying to bring to the attention of everybody so they can understand on a conscious level that, this stuff is deeper than we could imagine. And a lot of people don't understand how sick these people is and the stuff that they do to control you, to affect you. And it's real sick and it's deep and it's crazy that even when you bring it to the attentions of people, they still engage in it in a way where it will leave them, susceptible to the effects of it. So if you want to say that, I don't believe in this stuff and this stuff is bogus, then you're going to continue to be controlled by it. And, it's like an addiction. I mean, that's basically what it is. People love music. They love the hip hop culture. And, what happens when you see an addict? An addict don't want to let go of his drug. They don't want to let go of the booze. They don't want to let go of, the crack. They want to hold on to it. They will make every excuse to keep it. And, to them, it's like, so what? I'm getting high. I'm having fun. So what? A little bit of booze is I'm just getting drunk. I'm trying to have a good time when they don't understand the effect it's having on them. It's the same thing with us, but it's even worse because, music seemingly has no effect at all. And we know it does, as I just explained. So this is where the deception of music is why it makes it the best weapon against us. And this is why we are living in a hip hop culture and why the black community is under hip hop culture. And it's the same reason why the black community is in the state that it's in. It has nothing to do with everything else these racist people is talking about. Like we just want to be lazy and everything like that. It's the effect of the atmosphere that we grew up in. So now with all that being said, we then have to go back to the source. Where did all this stuff come from? Where did all this stuff stem from? And it's easy because the government can hide behind corporations and say, well, it's not us, it's them. It's easy because corporations can hide behind presidents and CEOs. And, the owners who really own this stuff, we don't know who they are. They can hide behind this stuff and have these people get paid millions of dollars to deal with the press that they also own. So, we can't do nothing. And it's crazy that people are not seeing this. What can we do when they own these corporations and they also own the press? So now, since they know they doing this stuff to us, they know what the music is doing to the black community. They know how it's affecting, the brains of the children and everything like that and causing them to act out what they're listening to. They know how it's making children violent, making people violent and everything like that. And if you are not, pursuing a doctorate degree, or you are not going to college because you want to be a rapper, then that's the goal. That's what they want. That's what they want to do. You want to be a model now. Everybody dancing. Everybody want to be a dancer. Everybody want to follow these hip hop trends and want to be famous. That is the agenda. Because if you following hip hop, if you following this culture, then you are not educating yourself. You are not finding out what the truth is. You are not looking to deception that they are that they are unleashing on the people, on the public. Because you so concerned with putting out an album or a mixtape. You so concerned with being famous and doing something that's going to get you an applause or a whole bunch of money, and it's unrealistic. And a lot of people destroy their lives trying to pursue hip hop. They could have went to college. They could have done something else. They could have been, something way better. All these people want to follow the hip hop culture. So many people want to be rappers, they want to be singers, and want to be famous. They don't want to be something that's going to make a difference. This is what they want. That is the agenda. So now, while in the black community, we following this hip hop culture, even though you got white people following it too, but they are backed by not being in poverty, by having family members and people in positions of power. And if they fall, they got people there to pick them right back up and put them in, the right place. So they're going to college more than us. They are, getting degrees and getting these high paying jobs and becoming your bosses and growing wealth and everything like that, because they are not really dealing with the effects of this music and living in an environment that this, music is, engulfing. They're able to just live in a stable culture. They're able to grow up with stable households. The music hasn't affected their parents to where one is in prison and the other one is doing this. And that's for the majority of white folks. We know some white folks, go through the same stuff we go through, but for the most part, they good. And that's by design. So, they are winning in that aspect of, having you follow this hip hop and follow this culture and not, growing in wealth and success by doing something better with your life and educating yourself so you can be something, that's going to make a difference. And you can at least have a job that's going to make you a lot of money. So this is the argument. People are saying that, we shouldn't be so easy on, black folks because, they know what they're doing. We understand what's going on, and we just doing things because it's in our nature. And that's what we are about. We are about killing each other and selling drugs and everything like that. These girls are just whores. There's nothing else wrong with them. They just hoes. They doing all this stuff because they want to do it. And this is exactly what it seems like. When you look at it, I mean, what else can you say? Looking at it and keeping it real, as we say, we keeping it real. You doing this stuff because you want to do it. You know it's wrong, but you do it anyway. What is that? When we say a person did something that's out of the ordinary, we say what? They crazy. Something wrong with them. Something must be wrong with his head. When we see people outside acting weird and crazy, like they got schizophrenia, we say something is wrong with their brain. He has schizophrenia. It's actually a medical term for it. But we don't have a medical term for the effect of the music industry and the effect of this mind control on people that's causing them to seemingly act normal, but to do out of the ordinary things. So they don't want to give it a medical term. It looks like everybody is just normal. Everybody just going about their life consciously and understanding what they're doing, not understanding that music has a lingering effect as well. So if you are not immediately being controlled by music, it can have a later effect. It can control you later. I mean, just case in point, if you walking down the street and a car stopped at a red light and it's blasting some music that An hour later, you might be singing that song in your head. That song might be stuck in your head. And you're like, what the hell, why I'm keep singing this song? Well, some people don't even realize that they singing it because they heard it earlier for about, 30 seconds or so. So it has a lingering effect as well. And, if you keep listening to it and people fall asleep listening to hip hop, as I said, people, because how a song makes them feel, how a verse makes them feel, or something, the way a person says something, they will rewind it over and over and over and put that into their, their brain, into their consciousness, and, feed off of it, act it out. And this is what people do. As I said, you have to really question a person's mental state. Especially a woman who would just take the time to set up a camera and position it in the right, correct way so she can stand in front of it and shake her ass. Like, what is the point of that? What is the point? What is the purpose of that? Because one, girls do it and we call them hoes. They don't want to be called that. But, everybody try to disguise it as, it's just dancing. Come on, grow the fuck up. That shit is not dancing. You know what it's doing. It's an enticing dance that's stimulating men. And of course, if you're stimulating men sexually, they're going to come after you. So when they come after you and you don't give them sex, what you think is going to happen? They're going to call you names. They're going to say, well, why are you doing that? And you're going to say, well, I'm just doing it because I'm going to have fun. And some girls don't even realize why they do the shit. They want attention. They don't even realize why they want attention. And they don't really realize that they don't want the attention for real. When they start getting it, it's what? It's too much. And then they look a certain type of way and they don't even realize why they all caught up. And, some girls, you get a guy who got money, who come across you and you see he got money. They jump for the money. And, this is how lives get destroyed. This is how children get created and lives get destroyed and, all the problems that come along with that. It's a cycle. I mean, like, people act like they don't see it when it's right in front of our face, what's going on. And it's because, you have the mentality of a person who is being controlled by something and don't realize it. And it's just how it is. I mean, some people who have epilepsy, sometimes when they pass out or they have seizures and they come out of it, they don't even realize that they had that it happened. They'd be like, no, I didn't. Like, what you mean I passed out? And I've seen this personally happen with people with epilepsy where they don't remember just having that crazy seizure. And then, they just come to, and they on the ground and they like, what happened? And this is the same type of effect. People don't even realize that their brain is going through actions that's going to control their physical action and cause them to do things or make decisions in life that's going to really affect their success. And this is what we're seeing. That is the large reason, the large part of what's going on in the African American community and what's really happening to black people. And we see it. We are making decisions that's affecting our life later on. We're making decisions to be rappers and not be doctors and not be professors and stuff like that. We're making decisions to just be normal, to just have a normal 9 to 5, to just be, some people just happy with that. Some people just happy with just having a job and working for somebody for the rest of their life. And they don't even think about the future and that they're going to have to do this for the rest of their life. They just worried about the now. And, I got to pay bills. I got to take care of my kids now. But I mean, if you quit that job, then what? What are you going to have? I mean, it's over. You can't afford to take care of your kids. You can't afford to pay your bills. So in essence, you put yourself in a position where you have to work and you can't really grow, financially, in a better position unless, you work at a job where you have the opportunity to move up and do such a thing. But at the end of the day, you're still working for somebody else. You're not ever really going to be able to be free. And this is one of the things that I see a lot, and it's messed up because I own my company and I do my own thing. I have the freedom of being able to be out, to just go do stuff. So when you have friends that got a job and they got to work and you trying to be out, not every friend can just be like, okay, I can take time off. I can go out. This is one of the things I hate about that. And one of the reasons why I didn't want to be punching the clock, because it takes away from life. When you got to punch that clock and you want to go do something and you can't because either you don't have the money or you don't have the time. And this is a problem that we see. And these decisions that we make that leads to these problems is largely because We have been stimulated to follow certain things and not be entrepreneurs and not be people who think outside the box. And what happens is people who pursue these wacky dreams with hip hop and, the whole entertainment industry, once reality set in that they're not going to make it, they're getting too old or they're not good enough, this is what they face with. So now, some people think they're too old to go to school. And now, they got to work in Walmart. As I said before in my video, I see a lot of dudes that was doing big things in music or, who was the man on the block when I was growing up, working in Walmart now, working at Walgreens now, working at ShopRite now, McDonald's and stuff like that. That shit is sad when I see that. I'm like, damn, you was the man. And look at you. And it's because this culture, as I said, has altered your state of mind and caused you to take a course of action that leads to you being unsuccessful and living in poverty. And that's exactly what it was designed to do. So now when we take all that and we bring it to a form of government control and we give it to this system, we say, it's the system, it's the white man that's doing all this to us. This is why people say that. This is why people are so mad at white people and mad at the government and mad at these institutions, because they can see this. And I'm here to say, well, wait a minute, we can't be mad at like every white person don't control these institutions and these organizations. This is a government system that has been designed to do exactly what it's doing long before any of these white people you see was even born. So that's what we have to focus our attention on. We have to look at the government system. We have to look at this media. We have to look at these organizations that's running all this shit, that's benefiting from all this stuff, and say, this is the problem. These are the people who are doing this. And you can't, because you love the entertainment industry. You love movies. You love hip hop. You love the culture. So it's tough for a person to give up something that they love. It's like, you're going to be biased. So when I come to you and tell you that, your favorite artist is not good for you, he trying to destroy you, even though he might not know it himself, it's hard for you to say, well, I'm going to stop listening to him. I'm not going to follow him. All these people got so excited, over the awards when certain black people get awards. What the fuck is you so happy about that a person got an award for something that's destroying the community and they ain't doing shit for the black community? People get so excited that these people getting awards and award shows, they congratulating each other on destroying the black community. That shit is not helping us at all. And y'all get so deceived by these movies that seem like they are supposed to help us, but they really designed to paint a picture of how the elite feel the African American should be and should look and be portrayed to the world. So we don't have TV shows that's really making us look, I'm not going to say superior, but in the position that we should be in. I mean, a lot of y'all still think that we couldn't read and write and do math and all this shit, 2,000 years ago when we created the stuff. Well, we didn't create math, but we was the originators of everything that math has been used to benefit mankind, I should say. So we know we use math in building, we use math in so many things. We were the first to basically take these things and conform it and change it and put it in a way that would advance our civilization. That was Africans. We did this stuff first before them. We had kings before them. We had so many things before them, yet that history has been erased and we are looked at as being primitive people in antiquity. And all you hear about is the Herodotus and the Socrates and Plato's and all of these people like that. So, this stuff is what we talk about as conscious people when we engage in these arguments. And sometimes it go that deep and it goes back that far, but you have the white community and you have even black people now saying, fuck that. It's not none of that. It's just this one person. It's just evil. He's bad. He knows what he doing. She knows what she's doing, and they doing it anyway. And they don't care about their future and what happens to them. And as I said, when you look at a person who does something who we know has been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Well, we say that's schizophrenia. It's not really him. That's the mental state that's making him do that. Or when a person is drunk or high, we say, you know what? That's not him or her. You know, she was drunk. You know, he was drunk. He was under the influence. So we give him a pass. But we won't give each other a pass because we have been influenced by this music, by this hip hop, by this culture. And it's so deceptive and it's so subtle that it makes it seem like it has no effect on us and we are acting this stuff out on our own. And as I said, I'm not giving everybody a pass because some people are conscious of this and they still act, you know, they still act accordingly. They still go with it. They still don't change their life. When I got this information, when I started researching this stuff, it changed the way I did things. And, you know, the way I didn't listen to hip hop music for a while. And I was in the music industry, as I talked about. I left it alone. And it took me to get a lot more understanding about energy and how it works and how they're using energy against us and how, you know, they're using the things they call evil, like voodoo and witchcraft and stuff like that, against us in every single way. And it's controlling us and it's controlling the black community. So that's the argument. Now, the thing is, can we come to a conclusion on this? You know, are people going to look at the facts and say, well, maybe we need to take a step back and look at everything else and look at the fact that the government, if they wanted to, could shut all this shit down. They can stop the drugs. They can stop the hip hop. They can stop what they know is destroying the black community and fix it and change it. They can eradicate poverty. They can fix everything, but they are not doing so. Why? People don't want to look at that. They don't want to say, well, why won't the government step in? You don't think that they could have stopped all these cops from killing? They could have just, you know, one law that said if you kill a person and it's found to be unjust, even though this is implied anyway, that if you kill a person in cold blood, you're going to get the death penalty or you can get tried just like a normal person, you know, they still do it anyway. So they must have some kind of understanding that they could possibly get away with it. So when we look at the proof that the KKK joined the police force and are now in high ranking positions throughout the police department throughout America, when we look at all the reports of, you know, crooked judges being arrested and, you know, sentenced for sending a bunch of people to jail, black people to jail, you know, just to fill the private prisons. Now, when we look at stuff like that, when we look at the simple fact that you have a bunch of people who invest in a private prison system that is based upon people being put in that prison, when we know that there's no way in the world that major corporations are going to invest millions of dollars into a private prison without knowing 100% for sure that it's going to be filled with prisoners. So we understand that this whole thing is corrupt and that people must be arrested and must be placed into these prisons, detention centers, into these prisons or what have you, so that they can you know, fulfill the profits and fulfill the quotas of these jails and these prison systems, so that these major corporations and these rich people can reap a profit. So the whole thing is a scam. So when we talk about this and when we show the fact that the government is crooked and that they are behind a bunch of the problems, that they are the reason why the black community is in the state that it's in. When we bring out all the proof, when we show that the CIA is behind the crack epidemic in the black community, when we talk about all the corrupt politicians and everything that has been, you know, put in front of black people to hinder us from moving forward, you know, we are still met with, you know, ridicule. We are met with conspiracy theorist stuff. We are crazy conspiracy theorist people when we have the actual proof, when we have factual proof, when we have their own news media sources leaking, talking about this stuff because they can't hide it no more because everybody know. And thanks to social media and, you know, YouTube, we can, you know, the internet in general, we can really talk about this stuff and put the information out to where the masses can see it. So they can't really hide so much no more. But we can find all the information and all the evidence to everything that we're talking about in the conscious community. We could point all this stuff out, yet we still have to deal with the argument that, you know, racist white people and white people in general and people, you know, black people as well, who don't understand, what's going on, who don't want to look at the issue and say, you know what, it's bigger. It's bigger than just a person acting out. I mean, it's deeper than a person just twerking and a person just wanting to be a rapper. It's a whole major psychological system, a whole program that has been designed and engineered to destroy not just the image of black people, but to destroy the success of black people. And that's what's happening. So the argument will continue to go on unless people wake up and realize these obvious and proven facts. And this is what we deal with. This is what the whole argument is about. This is what we face. This is what we're talking about in the black community. This is what we deal with, what I personally deal with when I debate with white people and racist people on my website. I mean, in the comment section or through messages. It's tough when we got to deal with this from racist white people and from, white people who don't understand. But now we got to deal with it from black people who just believe that, black women are just whores and hoes and, black men is just violent. They just niggas. They just do nigga shit. And they don't want to look at the facts that their brain is being controlled by the culture that they live in. Now, I go much deeper into a lot of these issues and a lot of the videos I have that's already on YouTube. But I wanted to address this question because I have a few questions from people who just talking about the argument. What are people arguing about? What is the whole debate between the conscious community and people who don't understand what the conscious community is about? And we're not just about, knowing a bunch of stuff and, having knowledge of self and everything like that. We pointing out the obvious facts that is plaguing our community and it's causing the downfall of African American people. And it's real easy to just point the finger at black people and say, it's you. That is what everything is designed for us to do, for us to just say it's not nothing else. It's you, because it's subtle. And it's hard for people to believe, and it's far-fetched for people to accept that, all this stuff could be a form of mind control, because most people who listen to music and do what they do are not going to make that connection because they feel like they are themselves. Nothing is wrong. I'm not being influenced. And you don't understand how something can be implanted into your consciousness, into your brain, to have you act out certain things and cause you to make decisions in life because of that issue, that song, that culture, that atmosphere, the people who you are surrounded by, what they are doing, the peer pressure. All of this is under the same umbrella of control that is designed to make sure that you are not successful, that you are in poverty, and that you are, doing something destructive with your life. And it's not everybody. Of course, there's people out there doing good things and great things. It's not everybody. Some people have stronger, control of themselves and their actions, and some people don't. And we see the people who don't and the result of their actions. So at the end of the day, if you're not going to step back and look at the overall picture, if you're going to accept the fact that people just want to destroy their lives for whatever reason, because that shit don't make no sense to me, that a person just want to be a whore and just want to do this for no reason at all and destroy themselves and just act out and kill people. It don't make sense. Something has to be behind all this, and it's everything that I pointed out and more. But I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. And I got a couple more videos to come, and I'll see you guys next video. Thanks for watching.